The galaxy had known peace for centuries, but it was a fragile, delicate kind of peace. Civilizations flourished on countless worlds. Empires rose and fell, and trade routes stretched like silver threads across the stars. Yet beneath the glittering calm there was a shadow that no one dared face openly: the Drakthar Armada. For millennia, these creatures had swept across the galaxy like a dark storm, leaving nothing but silence in their wake. Entire star systems vanished, their suns dimmed, their people erased as if they had never existed. In the halls of the Galactic Council, fear was almost tangible. Ambassadors whispered behind closed doors, voices trembling. "There is no hope," one murmured. "No fleet, no alliance can stand against them." Another shivered as images of the Drakthar's vast warships appeared on the holoscreen. Monolithic vessels bristling with weapons so advanced that even the most brilliant engineers had no idea how they worked. Their warriors were bred for war alone, creatures with no fear, no hesitation, and no mercy. Amid the despair, humans sat quietly. They were young to galactic politics, inexperienced in interstellar diplomacy, and yet, in their eyes burned something that made others uneasy. Hope, defiance, a strange, unshakable confidence. Captain Lena Alvarez of the human starship Resolute felt it too. She had grown up on Earth, hearing stories of impossible battles, of soldiers and civilians who faced overwhelming odds and survived. Those wars were primitive by galactic standards. Ships made of metal and fire, not energy shields and star-crushing weapons. But the courage of humans had always shone brightest in impossible moments. Lena believed that spirit still lived in her people. The galaxy may underestimate humanity, but that would be its greatest mistake. The first warning came like a shadow across the stars. Outposts on the edge of explored space went silent. Scouts returned with tales of monstrous warships, of cities burning beneath alien fire, of fleets disappearing before they could even respond. Panic spread through the council, and many races debated surrender or hiding. But humanity did not waver. In a quiet strategy chamber aboard Resolute, Lena spoke to her officers with steady eyes. "We cannot fight them like others do. We do not have the numbers, we do not have the weapons, but we have something they cannot predict: imagination, courage, and the will to endure. The galaxy has forgotten what humans can do when they refuse to give up." Some of her officers looked doubtful, fear written across their faces, but others nodded, eyes shining with a fire that matched Lena's. They had all seen the destruction, the hopelessness in the faces of other races, and yet, somehow, that made them determined. Humanity had always fought when all seemed lost. It was in their nature. Plans were made quickly, alliances quietly formed. Humans used every resource, every mind, every ship they could muster. Their fleets were small, fragile compared to the Drakthar, but humans were fast, adaptable, clever. They would not meet the enemy head-on. They would strike, outthink, outmaneuver, and endure. As Resolute left the space dock, stars streaked past the viewport like silver rain. Lena felt the weight of countless lives ahead of them, each a shining point of hope and fear. She thought of the children, the scientists, the families who might never know if they would survive this war. And yet, beneath the weight, she felt a thrill. The exhilaration of challenge, the pride of standing against a force no one else dared confront. The Drakthar believed no force could defeat them. They believed the galaxy would bow, surrender, or hide in terror. They had never met humans, and Lena, staring at the endless stars, felt a quiet certainty that humanity's answer was coming. It would be fierce, it would be brilliant, and it would be unforgettable. Because humans never give up, not ever. The human fleet moved quietly through the void, a small but determined wave against the darkness. Every ship carried not just weapons, but hope. The hope that the galaxy could still fight back, that the Drakthar were not invincible. Captain Lena Alvarez stood on the bridge of the Resolute, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Every blinking light on the tactical display represented lives, families, children, entire worlds at risk. The weight of it pressed on her chest, but she did not falter. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they would face them again. The first contact came faster than anyone expected. A Drakthar scouting vessel emerged from a fold in space, enormous and gleaming with alien energy. Its presence alone was terrifying. It radiated power, confidence, and the silent promise of annihilation. Lena's crew held their breath as the ship scanned the human formation. Then, without warning, it fired. A wave of energy tore through the void, and a smaller human frigate exploded in a brilliant flash, scattering debris like stars falling from the sky. Shock rippled across the fleet, but it did not break them. Lena's voice rang clear over the intercom. "Hold steady. Focus, we will not run. Remember who we are. Humanity never gives up." The humans had no illusions. They could not defeat the Drakthar in a straight battle. But they had something no one else had counted on: ingenuity. Using every calculation, every algorithm, every human instinct, they maneuvered their ships into positions the Drakthar could not anticipate. Fighters weaved through the enemy's defenses like threads of silver light, striking vital systems, disappearing before the Drakthar could react. One of the younger pilots, Enzo Malik, felt his hands shake on the controls. His first real battle. He could see the enemy's massive guns targeting him, their systems calculating every move with terrifying precision. Yet something inside him surged, a fierce, almost reckless courage. Humanity had fought impossible battles on Earth, with far less than this, and he would not fail. He dove through the enemy's energy shields, fired his missiles, and saw the enemy vessel shudder. The Drakthar had never expected this. Meanwhile, Lena coordinated the fleet with calm authority. "Focus on the weak points. Draw them apart. Use the stars as cover." Her orders were simple, precise, and deadly. The humans' small, nimble ships were like shadows, striking where the Drakthar were unprepared. Slowly, shockingly, they began to see results. One of the massive Drakthar cruisers faltered under concentrated human fire. Sparks flew across its hull, systems failing. For the first time, the Drakthar paused, but the cost was high. Explosions rocked human ships. Smoke filled the bridge of the Resolute. Crew members gritted their teeth against fear and grief. Every loss reminded them of the stakes, of what it meant to face a force that had never been defeated. Yet with each sacrifice, their resolve grew stronger. Every ship that fell became a lesson. Every maneuver a statement. Humanity would not bow, would not hide, would not die quietly. Hours passed like days in the void, the battle stretching across the empty space between stars. And then, against all odds, the human fleet emerged victorious. Not unscathed, not without losses, but victorious. The Drakthar retreated, a dark shadow folding back into the distance. They had met resistance they had not expected, and it had shaken them. On the bridge of the Resolute, Lena allowed herself a moment to breathe. She looked at her crew, exhausted, battered, but alive. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "We showed them that humanity fights, that we never surrender. Remember this moment. The galaxy will remember it too." Somewhere deep in the Drakthar armada, the commanders felt unease, a faint foreign sensation that humans could fight back. That maybe, just maybe, they were not invincible, but it was a lesson they would learn too late. Because humanity had answered the darkness, and they had done so with fire, courage, and unbroken spirit. The victory was small, but it was enough to spark hope. Across the galaxy, whispers of human courage traveled like wildfire. Alien fleets that had cowered in fear began to consider standing their ground, inspired by a race they had underestimated. But hope alone would not win wars, and the Drakthar were far from defeated. Captain Lena Alvarez watched the stars from the bridge of Resolute, her mind restless. They had seen the first cracks in the enemy's confidence, but that was only the beginning. The Drakthar would return, and next time their fury would be far greater. She turned to her officers, her eyes steady. "We've shown them we can fight, but this is not enough. They will come back stronger, faster, and smarter. We have to be ready for anything." The next intelligence reports were chilling. Entire sectors of human allied worlds had been struck. Communication blackouts destroyed colonies and fleets annihilated with terrifying efficiency. The Drakthar were relentless, and the galaxy trembled under their shadow. Yet Lena refused to yield to fear. Humanity had faced the impossible before, and they would face it again. The human fleet raced toward the nearest threatened system, a cluster of vital supply worlds that supplied not only materials, but hope to countless species. Every jump through hyperspace was tense, every scan a reminder that the Drakthar could be waiting at any point. The crew worked tirelessly, maintaining shields, repairing engines, recalculating maneuvers. Exhaustion pressed down on them, yet their determination burned brighter than fatigue. Then came the ambush. From nowhere, Drakthar ships appeared, hundreds of them, a black tide rolling through the void. They moved with terrifying precision, surrounding the human fleet like predators closing in on prey. Explosions erupted and ships screamed in the vacuum of space as energy beams tore through hulls. The humans fought back with everything they had, but the enemy was stronger, faster, and prepared. Enzo Malik, now more experienced, felt his heart pound as he piloted through the chaos. Fighters darted between massive cruisers, dodging energy blasts that could shred a ship in an instant. Every maneuver tested the limits of human skill. Every decision could mean life or death. And yet Enzo remembered Lena's words. Humans never give up. He pushed forward, striking weak points in the Drakthar formation, using every trick they had learned from the first encounter. On the bridge of Resolute, Lena coordinated like a conductor of chaos. Her voice was calm, precise, cutting through panic. Target their flanks. Draw them apart. Use the debris field as cover. Humans were outnumbered 10-1. Yet their ingenuity allowed them to survive, to strike, to frustrate the Drakthar commanders who had never encountered such unpredictable tactics. Still, the cost was staggering. Ships burned, alarms screamed, and the bridge shook with each impact. The crew lost friends, colleagues, entire units vanished before their eyes. Grief mingled with fear, yet humanity's spirit refused to break. Lena watched her crew fight with courage she could never have imagined. They adapted, survived, and learned from every strike, proving that even in the darkest moment, hope could persist. Hours passed like days, the battle stretching into an endless storm of fire and metal, and then, when the Drakthar seemed unstoppable, humanity found a weakness, a misalignment in the enemy's formation, an opening no one expected. With precise strikes, coordinated maneuvers, and sheer audacity, the humans broke through. Drakthar ships began to falter, retreating into the darkness, their confidence shaken once more. Lena exhaled, relief washing over her, but she knew this was only the beginning. The Drakthar would learn, adapt, and return with even greater fury, yet humanity had proven something vital. No matter the darkness, no matter the force, they could endure, they could fight, and they could survive. For the first time, the galaxy began to whisper a dangerous, thrilling truth. Maybe the Drakthar were not invincible. Maybe, just maybe, humanity could answer the darkness and shine brighter than anyone had imagined. The galaxy had begun to take notice. News of the human fleet's bravery spread across star systems like wildfire. Worlds that had once cowered in fear now whispered hope. Ships that had hidden in remote corners of the galaxy prepared to follow humanity's example. Humanity, once underestimated, had become a symbol, a small spark that dared to ignite the stars. Captain Lena Alvarez stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes scanning the endless blackness ahead. The Drakthar were regrouping, no doubt planning their next strike. Lena could feel the tension in her crew. They were tired, some haunted by memories of fallen comrades, others anxious about the unknown that awaited them. Yet none wavered. Humans were survivors, humans were fighters, and they would not bow to terror. Reports indicate Drakthar reinforcements approaching from the Andros sector, Lieutenant Chen reported. His voice was steady, but Lena could sense the worry beneath it. The Andros sector was a critical supply hub, full of civilians, scientists, and engineers vital to the galaxy's defenses. If the Drakthar struck there, countless lives would be lost. Lena clenched her fists. We'll get there first. We'll hold them off no matter the cost. Her eyes met those of her crew, each one ready to give everything. Remember this, we are humanity. We fight, we endure, and we never give up. The human fleet jumped into the Andros sector just as the Drakthar arrived. Space erupted into chaos. Explosions tore across the void. Warning lights flashed red and alarms screamed across every bridge. Drakthar cruisers advanced like living shadows, massive and implacable. But the humans did not retreat. They moved with precision, outmaneuvering the enemy in ways the Drakthar did not expect. Enzo Malik's fighter weaved between energy blasts, his hands flying over the controls. Every move was instinct, every decision a matter of life or death. He could see the enemy's weapons overheating, their formations faltering under relentless human attacks. He smiled grimly, feeling that indescribable thrill only battle could bring. The thrill of daring to stand against an impossible force and refusing to fall. Lena's strategy was simple, but brilliant. The humans could not destroy the Drakthar fleet outright, but they could delay them, disrupt their plans, and protect the civilians. They used asteroids, debris fields, and even the solar winds of nearby stars to their advantage. The Drakthar, used to unquestioned dominance, struggled to adapt. Each small human victory sent ripples of confusion through their command structure. The battle raged for hours, yet human resilience never faltered. Ships fell, but every loss was met with determination from others. Crew members worked tirelessly to repair damaged vessels, redirect power, and rescue survivors. Every human in the sector became part of a larger force, a living shield against annihilation. And then, in a moment that seemed impossible, the tide turned. Using a daring maneuver, Lena coordinated a strike that targeted the heart of the Drakthar formation. Explosions erupted in a brilliant display of fire and energy. The enemy flagship shuddered, systems failing. For the first time, the Drakthar seemed uncertain, hesitant, afraid. Lena watched from the bridge, heart pounding. The humans had achieved what many thought impossible. They had protected the Andros sector, bought precious time for civilians, and shaken the confidence of a force that had never known defeat. As the Drakthar retreated into the darkness of space, Lena allowed herself a quiet moment of pride. Her crew cheered, exhausted but elated. Humanity had stood against the impossible and survived. The galaxy had begun to see that humans were not just another species. They were a force to be reckoned with. Somewhere, deep in the shadowed corners of space, the Drakthar commanders realized the truth. The humans were different. They did not fear death. They did not bow to power. And they would fight always, no matter the odds. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy dared to hope. Humanity had answered the darkness, and their fire in the void could not be extinguished. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had won small victories, but the Drakthar were far from defeated. Rumors spread of a massive armada gathering near the Seraphis Nebula, a region of star systems vital to trade and survival. This time the humans would face the full fury of the Drakthar. The stakes had never been higher. Captain Lena Alvarez stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring at the vast fleet arrayed before them. Her heart was heavy with worry for the crew, but her resolve was unwavering. "This is it," she said softly. "This is where we show them who we are. We fight not because we are the strongest, but because we refuse to surrender." Her words echoed through the bridge, and each crew member felt the fire of determination ignite within them. The human fleet, though smaller, was precise and focused. They could not match the Drakthar ship for ship, but humans had something the enemy had never understood: unpredictability. Using cunning strategies, advanced calculations, and sheer daring, they maneuvered into positions the Drakthar did not anticipate. Every decision, every movement was a test of courage and ingenuity. The battle erupted with a violence that shook the stars. Drakthar energy beams sliced through space, tearing apart human ships in brilliant flashes. Explosions illuminated the darkness as the vacuum became a canvas of fire and metal. Yet humanity did not falter. Enzo Malik piloted his fighter through the chaos, dodging blasts and striking where the enemy was weakest. Every move was instinct, every strike a testament to human courage. On the Resolute, Lena coordinated attacks with calm precision. Divert power to shields, target their command vessels, use the nebula's gas clouds for cover. Her voice was a steady beacon amid the storm, guiding the fleet through impossible odds. Human ships darted like sparks through the void, striking, retreating, and striking again. But the Drakthar were relentless. They adapted, their massive ships pressing harder, surrounding human vessels, cutting off escape routes. Explosions rocked the bridge, alarms screamed, and crew members worked tirelessly to keep the ship alive. The cost was immense. Dozens of human ships were destroyed, and countless lives were lost. Lena's heart ached, but she could not falter. Every loss strengthened her resolve. Humanity would not bow. Then came the moment of daring that changed everything. Lena identified a weak point in the Drakthar formation, a gap in their defenses near their command ship. It was a chance few would dare take. She called out orders with precision. "Fighter squads, follow me. We hit the heart of their fleet. It's our only chance." Enzo and his squadron followed without hesitation. They zipped through the chaos, dodging energy blasts, weaving through falling debris, and pushing themselves beyond fear. Every pilot knew the risks, but every pilot also knew why they fought. Humanity was not just defending itself. It was standing for every world that could not fight back, every life that depended on their courage. With precise timing and fearless execution, The human fleet struck the Drakthar command ship. Explosions erupted across its hull, systems failed, and the enemy flagship faltered. Shock rippled through the Drakthar armada. They had never faced such audacity, such relentless determination from a force they had considered insignificant. On the bridge of Resolute, Lena allowed herself a moment to breathe, eyes shining with pride and grief. Humanity had stood in the heart of the storm, against the darkest force in the galaxy, and had made them falter. They had proven without a doubt that courage, ingenuity, and the will to survive were weapons stronger than any fleet. Somewhere across the galaxy, races that had feared the Drakthar began to believe. Humanity had answered the darkness. Humanity had fought, endured, and inspired. And the galaxy, for the first time in centuries, began to hope. The galaxy watched as humanity moved deeper into the heart of Drakthar territory. The victory at Seraphis Nebula had been significant, but Lena Alvarez knew the real challenge was just beginning. The Drakthar would not forgive such audacity. They would come back with greater force, and every step forward carried unimaginable risk. Yet humans did not hesitate. They had a purpose greater than fear, survival, hope, and the courage to fight against the impossible. Captain Lena stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her gaze steady as she surveyed the fleet. Each ship, every crew member, carried the weight of countless lives across the galaxy. "We go forward," she said, voice calm but resolute. "We fight not because we are guaranteed to win, but because we refuse to surrender. Humanity stands and we will not fall." Her words resonated through the fleet, inspiring every pilot, engineer, and soldier aboard. The human fleet entered the outer rim of the Drakthar armada, a dark expanse filled with colossal ships that blotted out the stars. Energy shields glowed faintly. Weapons hummed with deadly power, and the silence of space was heavy with menace. For the first time, many of the younger crew members felt the true scale of their enemy and the weight of what they were about to face. Enzo Malik gripped his controls tightly, heart pounding as he prepared for another battle. He had seen death, destruction, and fear in ways he could not have imagined before joining the fleet. Yet something stronger than fear guided him now, a fierce, unshakable determination. Humanity never gave up. He would not give up. Not here. Not ever. The Drakthar attacked without warning. Enormous energy blasts tore through space, shattering shields and sending smaller ships tumbling into the void. Explosions painted the darkness with fire, and alarms screamed across every human vessel. The fleet moved like a living organism, dodging, striking, retreating, and striking again. Lena coordinated every maneuver, every attack, every diversion with calm authority. Human ingenuity became their greatest weapon. Smaller ships darted through the enemy lines, using asteroid belts and debris clouds as cover. Explosives were placed with precision, sabotaging massive Drakthar cruisers from within. Each strike was calculated, risky, but effective. The Drakthar had never faced an enemy who fought with such creativity, such relentless courage. Yet the battle took its toll. Ships were lost, crew members fell, and the Resolute itself shuddered under repeated attacks. Lena felt grief for every life lost, yet she could not allow despair to take hold. Every human who survived, every ship still standing, was proof that courage and determination could endure even the most overwhelming odds. As the battle raged, Lena identified the Drakthar flagship, the heart of their power. If it could be destroyed or disabled, the entire armada would falter. It was a dangerous plan, almost suicidal, but humanity had no other choice. "This is it," she told her officers, voice firm. "We strike at the heart. We will show them that no force can defeat those who refuse to surrender." Fighter squads led by Enzo moved with fearless precision. They weaved through enemy fire, targeting key systems, and finally struck a critical blow to the flagship's energy core. Explosions rippled through the massive ship, sending shockwaves that disabled nearby vessels. For the first time, the Drakthar commanders hesitated. Humanity had reached the impossible. Lena exhaled, eyes shining with pride and sorrow. The humans had survived, struck fear into a race that had never known defeat, and proven that courage, creativity, and unyielding spirit were weapons stronger than any fleet. The galaxy had begun to see the truth. Humanity was not just another species, they were a force to be reckoned with. Somewhere deep in the Drakthar Empire, commanders realized they had underestimated humanity. They had believed no force could stop them. They were wrong. Humanity had answered the darkness, and they were only beginning to shine. The Drakthar had never faced such defiance. Across the galaxy, their fleets faltered as humanity pressed deeper into enemy territory. Captain Lena Alvarez knew the final battle was near. Every human ship carried not just weapons but hope. The hope of countless civilizations that had suffered under fear for centuries. Humanity's courage had ignited the galaxy, and now it would deliver the final answer. The Drakthar flagship loomed ahead, a monstrous vessel bristling with weapons capable of annihilating entire fleets. Lena watched it from the bridge of Resolute, feeling both fear and determination. This was the moment that would define them. Every life lost, every ship destroyed, every sacrifice had led to this point. She turned to her crew, eyes firm. We are the answer they never expected. We are humanity. We fight for the galaxy, for hope, and for each other. Today we end this. The fleet moved forward, a wave of defiance against the darkness. Energy beams flashed across the void as Drakthar ships fired relentlessly. Explosions lit the blackness, hulls shattering, alarms screaming. Yet the humans pressed on, weaving through enemy fire with skill and courage. Fighter squads darted around massive cruisers, striking at weak points, disabling weapons, and rescuing trapped comrades. Every move was precise, yet fueled by the indomitable human spirit. Enzo Malik's fighter squadron led a daring assault, diving straight into the heart of the Drakthar formation. His hands flew over the controls, every instinct focused on survival and victory. He could feel the fear in his chest, but it was nothing compared to the fire that burned in his heart. Humanity had fought impossible battles before, and he would not fail. Every shot he fired, every maneuver he made, was for his family, his friends, and every life across the galaxy counting on them. Lena coordinated the fleet with calm authority, issuing orders that seemed impossible to execute. Target the flagship's energy core. All squadrons focus fire. Protect the civilians at all costs. Human ingenuity shone in every tactic. They used the nebula's gas clouds to hide their approach, manipulated gravitational anomalies, and synchronized strikes across multiple fronts. The Drakthar, accustomed to fear and obedience, found themselves confused and overwhelmed. Then came the moment that would be remembered across generations. The flagship's energy core, massive and unstable, began to crack under the relentless human assault. Explosions rippled through its hull, lights flickering and dying. The Drakthar commanders realized too late that they were being undone by a force they had deemed insignificant. Humanity's audacity had become their undoing. On the bridge of Resolute, Lena watched as the enemy flagship collapsed in a brilliant explosion, sending shockwaves that disabled nearby vessels. The Drakthar fleet, once unchallenged and feared, scattered into the darkness of space. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. Tears streamed down the faces of crew members. Exhaustion, grief, and relief mingled in every heart. They had lost so much, yet they had gained something far greater. Proof that courage, determination, and hope could defeat even the most powerful adversary. Humanity had answered the darkness, and their light now shone across the galaxy. Lena stood quietly, gazing at the stars. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of. They were not merely another species. They were survivors, fighters, and beacons of hope. Every world that had lived in fear could now breathe freely. Every civilization could believe in the impossible. Somewhere, deep within the remnants of the Drakthar Empire, commanders reeled in disbelief. They had believed no force could defeat them. They had believed their reign of terror was unchallenged. And yet humanity had answered. With courage, with spirit, and with unyielding determination, humanity had shown the galaxy a truth that could never be forgotten. No force is unbeatable. No darkness is eternal, and when humanity rises, even the impossible can fall. The stars seemed to shine brighter that night, as if the galaxy itself celebrated the victory. Humanity had answered the call, and their story would echo across the cosmos for generations to come.